All right, my friends, welcome back. This is going to be part 101 of my presentation on the flood in Noah's Ark. And in this one here, and I think it's going to take several videos to go through everything that I have in this block. But we're going to talk about the animals that went on the ark and kind of what the scriptures is saying, and try to clarify some things that may be confusing you. And so at least I'm going to do the best that I can. And so if you'll notice on the screen here, Genesis 6:19 through 20, the Lord says, "And of every living thing of all flesh, 2 of every sort shalt thou bring into the ark, to keep them alive with thee. They shall be male and female, of fowls after their kind, and of cattle after their kind, and of every creeping thing of the earth after his kind. 2 of every sort shall come unto thee to keep them alive." Now there is so many little good nuggets in here, and so I'm going to bring several of them out, and we're going to talk about them. But the first thing, guys, I want you to notice that he's saying is, what exactly type of animal are they talking about? It says after their kind. That is key. That is very, very key. I want you to understand that. Now let's go through let's do a little background here. Now this word here is taxonomy. Taxonomy. If you break it down, it's taxus, which is order, and nomos, which is a law. You put it together and it's the laws and principles of classification. Now this gentleman here is Carolus Linnaeus. 1707 to 1778, a Swedish naturalist and creationist. Get that? He's a creationist who was born into a religious family. His father was a minister who had a passion for plants and a large garden. He introduced Carolus to botany. Now, botany is a branch or biology concerned with the study of plants. So anytime you hear botany, you're talking about plant life. Carolus developed binomial nomenclature. Now, what that word means, guys, is you take the word binomial, which means when you break it up, you got bi, which is 2, and nomial, which is 2 names. So that's what it means. 2 names. Now, nomenclature, when you break up the word nomen, it means a name, and clare, which means to call. So basically, nomenclature is a vocabulary of names or technical terms which are appropriated to any particular branch or science. Now, we're going to look at some nomenclature, some binomial nomenclature. I'm going to show you exactly what that is, and a lot of you already know what it means. You already know. So at any rate, binomial nomenclature to classify and organize plants and animals is what he did. That's what he developed. In 1751, Linnaeus published Philosophia Botanica, his most influential work. In it, he claimed that a natural system of classification could be derived from what, guys? God's original, immutable creation of all species. Now, isn't that interesting? Well, what's up with this? I guess Carolus didn't know that evolution is science and science is evolution, and evolutionary scientists have proved that evolution is true and is a fact and all that stuff. What's up with this? You mean Carolus Linnaeus, this creationist? He's the one that actually developed taxonomy? He's the one that introduced all this stuff? The way we classify animals? A creationist? But wait a minute. Evolution is, I guess he didn't know. But you know what, guys? Look at the year he lived, 1707 to 1778, and look when he published Philosophia Britannica, 1751. Now let's go to a little chart here that I put together that you think some of you that have been seeing my videos ought to be very familiar with. This is this chart, guys. Notice where we went off track. Carolus lived in a different time, a different time. This before 1830. Before 1830, if you'll notice down here at the bottom where it says most scientists believed in catastrophism, which they believed the Bible. They believed the biblical account of the flood. And so right at 1800 is when we got off course because the three stooges here, Hutton, Lyell, and Darwin, those three knuckleheads is what catapulted us to where we are today. And especially Lyell saying he wanted to free the science from Moses. Now, Carolus Linnaeus, he added God into it. And we are still using what he created back then, though, when you get evolution into it, they'll screw it all up. And I'm not saying that everything that they have done there is agreed upon by creationists. And so, I just need to make that known there, to put that little disclaimer. And so, but at the beginning, Carolus Linnaeus, he had the right idea. He had the right idea. And so, but again, 1800s, guys, is when it all changed. It all changed. So don't let these evolutionists try to snow you, because evolution is no more than a theory. That's all it is. It's a guess. They don't know. They don't have any evidence for it whatsoever. It's all just a guess. A theory is a guess. That's all it is. It's a hunch. It's a hunch. And what was their motive? To free the science from Moses. They wanted to get God out of science. They didn't want to put any biblical type of relationship in with science. They didn't want it at all. They wanted to kick him out. It was a satanic move. That's all it was. Now, let's talk about taxonomy, so let you guys understand what it is. Pretty much everybody has seen this at some way, shape, or form, or heard about it. Taxonomy. You've got these classes here these orders that you'll have. You've got kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. These are the tiers or the levels that you'll see where they break down the plants and animals. They'll break them down into certain categories. And so now sometimes you'll see things added to this, but this is traditionally what you will see, the basic breakdown of the plant and animal kingdom, okay? And so now all the way at the bottom, you got species, which is debated. Now, if you go back to Darwin there, look at my chart there, he was the one that wrote The Origin of Species. Notice that. The Origin of Species. That's the one that he wrote. That's the one that you'll hear a lot of. But you know what? There's a difference between species and kind. Species and kind. The Bible says kind. Here they're saying species. The big difference. There's a big difference in that. That's a real key there that you understand that. Let's go a little bit further here with this. So, the binomial nomenclature is a two-part name that takes genus and species and creates a name that is attached to whatever plant or animal it is. And the genus will always be capitalized. The first letter will be capitalized, but species will not be capitalized, okay? Now, we'll go a little bit further, and we'll explain a little bit more. So, if you want to see what the scientific name for a human is, you got genus, which is Homo. Notice the H is capitalized, and species is sapiens. So the scientific name for a human is Homo sapiens. The first letter in genus is capitalized, and the first letter of species is not. In every animal, this is what you're going to see. So if you guys have seen this, you go, oh yeah, I've heard of that before. Then you've seen taxonomy. And this was created, guys, by a creationist who believed in God and tried to put God into it. But evolution has taken him out, And so when people start to realize the background and the history of where this stuff came from, you can see that at the very beginning, they added God in. But evolution and all the people that follow that, the atheists and the people that want to kick God out, they try to snow you and make you believe that it did not. That evolution, scientists and all that, it all came about. This was true science is what they're trying to say. And they're trying to bury the other stuff, which is false. This stuff came about by a creationist who believed it, who believed God and believed in God and had a good family upbringing. Now, let's break this down for human. So if you want to break it all down, you got kingdom, which is Animalia, phylum, which is chordata, which is having a backbone. So you take the animals and you break them up. Okay, the category. Okay, you got they're in the animal world, animal kingdom, and then you got those that are having a backbone. And what they do is they'll put these animals in categories of what they look like or what they do. So you got the class is mammalia, so mammals, warm-blooded, hair, fur, milk, live birth. Order is primate. You got lemurs, lorises, tarsiers, monkeys, apes, and humans. That right there is where they started screwing up. And then family, you got hominidae, you got orangutans, gorillas, chimpanzees, bonobos, and humans. And then genus, you got Homo, and you got all those names there, guys. See all those names there? Well, let me show you a chart that will kind of clarify what they're talking about there. Now, you got the names. I got the names in those parentheses there. Notice those names in parentheses. I'm going to say H. habilis, erectus, and Neanderthals, and all these names there. I'm not going to try to pronounce those other ones, but you got Cro-Magnon, and but all those. Whenever you see those right there, guys, think of cavemen. Think of cavemen. And this is a chart that'll kind of help you along with that. A walk through human evolution. And it says there up top, the newest fossils brought scientists tantalizingly close to the time when humans first walked upright, splitting off from chimpanzees. Notice the underlined, everything I'm showing there, an underline. Splitting off from chimpanzees, their best guess now is that it happened 6 million years ago. And this was back in 2001. This is the chart back in 2001 from Time Magazine. And so, again, there you go right there. Now, all the boxes, all the names, see all the names there? All the boxes is what was in genus. Let me go back to genus. Here's genus, all those in parentheses. Now, most of those names there are right there. You'll see them in boxes. So they're basically half human, half ape. And as they go up to what we are now, humans, modern humans, right there, I got in a big box, Homo sapiens, modern humans, as they go up from there, they become more human. They become more human by evolutionary theory. Remember, it's a guess. It's a hunch. There's no fact to it at all. There's nothing. They have nothing. And I have quote after quote after quote from evolutionists that admit this. And so maybe I need to put a video together with no talking in it, just put some background music and just have slide after slide after slide with evolution's scientists and researchers and speakers that admit this, that just admit this one after another, after another, after another. And so, but that's where they say we came from, guys, that all we are is nothing more than an evolved ape, a monkey. That's all we are. That's all we are. And so now the only one that is not in that bracket that I showed you before is Lucy. So use that Afarensis, including Lucy. I just wanted to show you that see, they believe Lucy branched off from chimpanzees. Guys, it's insane. I feel embarrassed in front of the Lord and even talking about this stuff, knowing that the Lord is the one that created us. Now, going on. Now, let's look at the creation side. What do creationists use? Now, what we use is basically the same, sort of the same type of categories that taxonomy, but we add the Lord into it. And it's called baraminology. Baraminology. And so when you break it up, you got bara, which is to create, mean, which is kind, and ology, a science or branch of knowledge. So when you put it together, it's the study of biblical kinds. Kinds. Now notice that, because that's what the Bible called it. Kinds. And it'll make more sense here as we go on. Now, baraminology, the study of biblical kinds, plants and animals, it's researching in the areas of hybridization. Now, we're going to talk about that in the future. Similarities and differences, and significant unbridgeable gaps that separate kinds. And so, now let's go through some scriptures here, and to show you what we're talking about. Now, it's really interesting when you get into the scriptures. It really has a lot to say, guys, about God's creation. Now, Job 12:7-9. Job 12:7-9. It says, "But ask now the beast, and they shall teach thee, and the fowls of the air, and they shall tell thee, or speak to the earth, and it shall teach thee, and the fishes of the sea shall declare unto thee." What are they going to teach? What are they going to tell? And what are they going to declare? Well, who knoweth not, notice that, who knoweth not in all these that the hand of the Lord hath wrought this? It's basically saying, who is going to say that God didn't create it? That's basically what it's saying. You can look at it, and you can look at the things that are made, just like Romans 1:20 said. You can look at the things that are made and say, this didn't come by chance. Somebody created this. That's what the Bible was stating here. Now, going on, when we're talking about kinds, this is the creation account. "And God said, Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth, and it was so. And the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after his" what? "Kind. And the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind." Notice that, talking about the seed. The seed was in itself. There's more to it. There's a DNA that is in there. There's a software system that's in there. That's what it's talking about. It's coming from that. All the proponents, all the software to tell that plant to do what, to be what it is in that seed. It's in that DNA that was created. Software doesn't come by chance. Software has to be created. That seed has the DNA that has the software inside of it. After his kind. Notice that kind. And God saw that what? It was bad. It was evolving. It was going to eventually get there. No, it was good. That's what he's saying. Moving on. "And God created great whales and great living creatures that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God said, Let the earth bring forth the living creature," what? "After his species?" No, after his kind. "Cattle and creeping thing and beast of the earth after his kind. And it was so. And God made the beast of the earth after his kind, and the cattle after their kind, and every living thing that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good." Now we're moving on here. Now, when we're talking about species and we're talking about kind, what we're talking about? What are we talking about? So you got wolves. Wolves fall into, let's just put it in simple terms, the dog kind or canine. So wolves fall underneath that, and your dog falls underneath that also. Now, both of those animals, unless they have physical requirements or maybe a mutation in their DNA, a bad mutation, I should say, or deleterious mutations, what they'll also often say. What deleterious basically means, it's a bad mutation. You think of the word delete, deleterious. And so, but at any rate, you got your, let's just say your German Shepherd. You got your German Shepherd outside, and you got a wolf that's running out in the forest. Those dogs or those animals can come together and produce because they are the same kind of animal, even though they are different species. They are different species. So what you would think when you would think of species, a variety. It's a variety of the same kind of animal. Now, where does kind fall at? Kind would fall, now there's a debate in some people think there's a debate between whether kind would fall under family or genus. I personally think family has more of a better, at least at this chart here, it shows the kind would fall really good under family. And so because you've got like the felines there, you got the felines and you got all the cat kind. The cat kind, what did the original cat kind look like when it came off the ark is open for debate. We'll talk about that in the future. But then you've got these animals that come from that, like the bears. You got different bears. We're going to talk about hybridization in the future also, which is extremely interesting. And creation scientists and secular scientists are having a field day researching hybridization, because animals that they thought were different kinds of animals, they're actually noticing that these animals can come together and reproduce. And so what do you have if you have two different animals that can come together and reproduce? You have the same kind of animal. That is the biblical definition of a kind. When two animals can come together and reproduce offspring, you have the same kind of animal. Now, species in this chart here would fall under specific epithet. That write down, you'll see where I got species there. When you see species, just think of variety. Just think of variety. So species would say variety of the kind. You've got a kind of animal and you've got different varieties of that kind of animal. That's exactly what you got there. So what you got here, you got two elephants. They are the same kind of animal, but you got this elephant, which I believe is an Asian elephant. You got an Asian elephant and you've got a mammoth. They're different species. But they're the same kind of animal. These animals actually could come together and reproduce. They could actually come together and reproduce. They are trying to clone this animal by using this animal. I think it's an Asian elephant, if I remember correctly. I spoke about it in a previous video. So they're actually trying to do that, guys. They are trying to use an Asian elephant to clone a mammoth. But to be able to do that, what do these animals have to be? They have to be the same kind of animal. So whenever you think of kind, you think of animals that can come together and reproduce offspring, okay? And species, you want to think of varieties of the same kind. That's what we're talking about. So the Bible, there's more science in the Bible than you can ever imagine. The Bible says it right on the knot. He's not saying species, he's saying kind. So that shortens up the amount of animals that you're going to have on the ark. And we'll talk about that in the future. But at any rate, guys, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you're learning something. When we come back again, we're going to take off in this exciting block about the animals that went on the ark. Okay? You guys take care. Bye-bye.